Hi friends! Memorial Day is just around the corner, so let's make a sweet treat for your friends and family. My name is Christina Tucker, and you may know me on Instagram as Bakeosaurus. I love to decorate cakes, and today I'm going to share with you a special recipe I developed especially for Natural Delights. I have these beautiful Medjool dates, and we're going to use them in an ice cream and also a banana date cake. On today's episode of Bake with Dates, I'm going to show you how to make a dates banana cake sundae. It is super delicious, the cake is very tender, and the ice cream is the easiest ice cream you'll ever make. You don't need a ice cream maker, it's no churn. All you need for this recipe is a stand mixer, and if you have a handheld electric, that works just fine as well. You'll need a blender. We're going to blend up some ingredients to bake, which is a super interesting technique, and a large mixing bowl or two. Other than that, just have your normal baking tools out, your measuring cups, and also some spatulas so that you can scrape down the bowl as well. Let's start. This is the easiest ice cream recipe you'll ever need. You only need 2 cups of whipping cream and a can of condensed milk. Make sure it's 14 ounces, doesn't matter what brand you use, and 1 teaspoon to 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. I like mine to be extra vanilla flavored, so I usually go 1.5 teaspoons. And of course we have our dates from Natural Delights, and if you have some pecans laying around, add them in. You don't have to if you're not a fan, and the ice cream will still be delicious. So once you have your hot water over your dates, you can go ahead and put that aside. These are really ripe. They're the best for banana bread. If you ever have overripe bananas, I highly recommend this recipe. 1.5 will do it. And go ahead and put them directly into your large mixing bowl. So from here, you can take a fork. You can use a large fork, small fork, doesn't matter. I'm just gonna mash up that banana. Takes a little while, it's a nice little workout. And if your bananas are room temperature, that's better. Sometimes I like to throw the overripe bananas in the fridge for a while until I'm ready to use them, but once you are ready to use them, make sure you take them out and that the bananas aren't cold when you're about to bake them. Okay, so once your bananas are pretty well mashed, and I kind of think that a little bit of chunky is fine in the banana bread, but that's up to you. If you want to keep going and make it more smooth, you're more than welcome to. And at this point, you're going to take your cup of brown sugar. It's been packed. As you can see, its measuring cup was super packed. Add it to your bowl. Take your granulated sugar. This is 3/4 a cup of granulated. And get your 3/4 cups of vegetable oil, and go ahead and pour it over, and have a whisk handy or nearby. Go ahead and whisk it up. You want to combine it really well. Put a little elbow grease into it to get nice and somewhat smooth. Of course there's banana chunks in there, so it won't be completely smooth, but you'll really start to see when the sugar and oil have combined with the banana. It's pretty obvious. Okay, so that's it for now. Go ahead and put this aside. Okay, now it's time to blend our other wet ingredients. I just have a basic blender. You want to get the coconut milk in there. This is 3/4 a cup of unsweetened coconut milk. And you have 1/2 a cup of plain yogurt. And then you're going to take the dates, which have been drained, so they're mostly not so wet, and you're going to put them in the blender. I'm going to put it on a fruit smoothie setting just because I think that consistency is better. So this mixture is pretty smooth. You can see that there's still some date pieces, and that's fine. In the meantime, in a smaller mixing bowl, I have my 2 cups of all-purpose flour, baking soda, 1 teaspoon of that, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 a teaspoon of fine sea salt. So you can take your whisk and mix it up. Bring back your banana mixture with the sugar and oil. Re-whisk it, and then you're going to add in that blended coconut milk and yogurt with the dates. Use a spatula to make sure it all gets in there. Whisk it up again. So now you're ready to mix in your dry ingredients with your wet. I like to go slowly, a little bit at a time. just so you don't get flour all over yourself, but also because it's just a little bit easier to combine everything when you do it little by little. So as the batter thickens up, I just want to make sure that you don't overbeat it, but just enough so that all of the ingredients are well mixed. And you can see there's flour sticking to the bottom of the bowl there, so always make sure you have a spatula around so you can scrape down the bowl. Okay, and there you have it. Your cake batter is ready to go in the oven. I need a loaf pan first, don't I? So I have a 9 by 5 inch loaf pan here. Make sure you spray it down with, I use Baking Joy usually. Be generous with your baking spray. You definitely don't want it to stick coming out of the oven. And when you take it out of the pan to cool it, you're gonna pour a little under 3/4 of the way. Get your handy spatula out. So this recipe is good for 1 loaf pan. If you have a smaller loaf pan, you might wanna do 2 small loaves. If you have a bigger one, you might want to double the recipe and then save the extra batter for cupcakes. It's up to you. I still have a little extra batter in the bowl, but the loaf pan is a little less than 3/4 full at this point, so I want to stop. And let's get it in the oven. You have your temperature set to 350 at this point. Preheating is always good. You're going to bake this for about 30 to 35 minutes, depending on your temperature settings. Everyone's a little different. Sometimes some ovens are a little higher than others in temperature. So while you're waiting for your cake to come out of the oven, you can go ahead and make your ice cream. You need a stand mixer with a whisk attachment, or as I mentioned before, a handheld electric with a whisk attachment will work just fine. I like to make the ice cream ahead of time, at least a few hours ahead or the day before. Making the ice cream is really simple. In the bowl of your stand mixer, add in the 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, and then add in that entire can of condensed milk. Use a spatula to make sure that you get all of it out of the can. And then add in your vanilla. Super easy, as you can see. Put on the whisk attachment and whip it up for about 5 minutes. Once you get it going, just need to plug in my mixer. So you'll know the ice cream is done when you look at the whisk, and you'll see that it has about medium to stiff peaks. Looks really good already. And then fold in the pecans and the dates. The texture of the ice cream is super light and fluffy, so you don't want to overfold. Scoop the ice cream into a freezer safe dish or container, and it's ready to go inside the freezer, and it'll take at least 3 to 4 hours to harden up. It's so light and fluffy, you can already see it's going to be a good batch. So if you've seen my videos before, you know that I like to make a little simple syrup to put over the cake. You just brush it over the top when you pull it out of the oven, and that helps keep the cake moist. I have here about 2 tablespoons of hot water and 1/8 a cup of brown sugar. Doesn't have to be packed, it can be kind of loose. And you're going to take any utensil. I just have my brush ready, so I'm going to be brushing over the top of the cake. And stir it up, make sure it's all dissolved. And that's it, really simple syrup. So I've just taken our banana bread date cake out of the oven, and it's got a little extra caramelization on top because it needed a few more moments. This is actually a new loaf pan. I've not used it before. I had to do with my old one because it was getting kind of scrappy. So we'll take the sugar syrup, the simple syrup, and just brush it over the top of the loaf. And what this does is it just kind of helps keep the top of the cake moist. And then when you remove it from the pan to cool it, it will continue to stay moist. So if you have a wire cooling rack, this is really handy to have if you're in a hurry and you want to get the cake out to cool. Again, I had to leave mine in the oven for a little extra time. If you don't like the caramelization around the edges, you can line your baking pan, the loaf pan, with parchment paper, and that way you won't get those brown edges. I personally don't mind, and I think it adds a little bit of personality to the cake flavor. Okay, let's assemble our dessert. We have some of the cake. I have cut it up into half-size pieces so they're easier to put into whatever you're serving them in. And you're gonna take your ice cream. I left it out for a few minutes so that it's easier to scoop, of course. We'll go 2 scoops there. 2 nice big scoops of ice cream. And of course, you need your festive sprinkles. And a little flag will go on top. And there you have it, a perfect patriotic Memorial Day dessert. Do we think, little one, was that a good dessert? Well, she's not on solid food, so she won't be able to tell you. A couple of tips I have for this recipe: if you don't like the caramelization on the top, definitely use the parchment paper in the loaf pan so you don't get brown edges. And also, if you want to make this a vegan recipe, you can definitely switch out the yogurt for a plant-based yogurt. That's it. Can you say bye? Bye! Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Bake with Dates, and if you do end up using the recipe, let me know what you think of it in the comments below. You can find the full instructions and ingredient lists below as well. So I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy this festive dessert to share with your family and friends. My name is Christina Tucker, and you can find me on Instagram. My handle is @Bakeasaurus.